Let's first dive deeper into the action at the close. And Abigail, what were you watching?
Caroline, I'm taking a look at what you all were just talking about, our small cap, the big rally up 3 days in a row, up more than 5% over the last 3 days, the best 3 days for small cap going back to January. But if we take a look at this 1 year chart, it's really pretty stunning. The last time the Russell 2000 put in an all-time high last summer, right around this time of the year. Pretty interesting. So we see this downtrend and we see a sideways range also. The Russell 2000 unable to get out of its own way as the large cap and the momentum names have been outperforming on the day. Now, we first took a look at this chart either late last week or early this week as it was starting to go above its 200-day moving average, but mentioning the fact that this downtrend is still in place. Well, Taylor, take a look at this. Popping above the downtrend right now, but the Russell 2000 did that earlier this summer. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not small cap, the buying continues. The RSI close to overbought. It seems like this move for small cap might have legs, but how long they will last, it will be interesting to see. This chart suggests maybe not so long unless the small cap or the downtrend really gets broken, Taylor.
Well, Abigail, I'm taking a look at shares of Lyft and Uber, which surprisingly are higher today, even though overnight we got passage of Assembly Bill 5, which states that California companies do have to hire employees or treat them as employees instead of contract workers if the work is inside the company's normal course of business, except for the fact that these shares are higher on news that the California governor may be still in negotiations with Lyft and or Uber to talk about some exemptions from the law. Now, interestingly enough, if there are not exemptions, I wanted to take a look at who would be hit harder, Lyft or Uber. Interestingly enough, Lyft, I should say, has been slowly increasing their presence not only in San Francisco, they have about a 20% concentration, but overall within the U.S. In the chart, you can see that Lyft has now expanded their market share in the U.S. to 40% in just 2 years from 22%. Uber, on the meanwhile, has lowered that market share due to their deliberate expansions overseas. So in this case, it might look like Lyft could be a little bit harder hit. But of course, news is still developing. Mike?
Well, Taylor, the European Central Bank is scheduled to meet tomorrow, so it's a good time to look at what the market is expecting. Now, the consensus is for the resumption of quantitative easing, about 30 billion euros a month worth. But the market is also expecting another cut in the deposit rate. And the consensus is calling for a 10 basis point cut, mainly because that's what the ECB has done in the past once that rate got into negative territory. Consensus looking for a 10 basis point cut to negative 50 basis points. However, what's interesting is you can get a sense for what traders are expecting by looking at interest rate swaps on the Euro overnight index average, or what they call EONIA. And those swaps are looking actually for a 15 basis point cut. So, Joe, if the consensus is right and these market signals are wrong, and we do get a 10 basis point cut, history would suggest that we'd see a bit of a euro rally after that.